Great morning. Hey, you guys. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Good morning. I'm going to let you guys slide on in here. While you're sliding on in, I'm going to go ahead and just take care of some things. Finish getting myself together. I got to head out the door shortly, but I wanted to make sure that I came on and did this, right? So, just doesn't want to act right. Hey, you guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Are you guys ready for an amazing day? I know I am. Listen, I got my camouflage on. That means I'm ready for war. Yeah, this is so hard. Like, I always struggle trying to do it looking like this. But look, so today is day 3 of the Forward Focus 21 day fast. And today's focus is place. Great morning. Today's focus is place. Now, this is why this is so significant in the fact that I've got on my camouflage, my war clothes, right? Because listen, there are times when God sends you to a place and you're going to have to engage in battle, right? There are other times, though, when the place is prepared for you. And you've got to know when it's time to move. See, the problem is once we get situated and once we get settled, we don't want to move. We don't want to move. It's inconvenient. And if you're like me, you hate moving. I do not like moving. It's my least favorite thing in the world to do. Hold on, y'all. Let me get this. So here we are, looking at place. And I'm going to go into the devotion because I want you guys to be able to catch the devotion and really understand what God is saying to his people. You know, sometimes we miss what God is saying because we're so busy trying to figure things out on our own that we don't hear what God is saying. And we've got to hear God. Bottom line, we got to hear God. And if we're not hearing God, it's a whole problem. So we need to hear God. So let's go to the devotion. And I'm actually going to, hold on, I think I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see it. If you're not a part of the Forward Focus 21 group or the Inner Circle group, which is the one where we go more in depth, then you'll miss these devotions because that's where they are. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to get there and then I'm going to share. My God. Listen, y'all, this is a good word. This is a good word. I need y'all to understand that this is a good word. Hey, Stacy, good morning. Hold on. Hold on. Let me share. And you guys will see the group too, right? Forward Focus 21. Okay. Day 3 is place. The promised land awaits. My God, the promised land awaits. And the Lord spoke to Moses saying, send men, and this is coming from Numbers 13, 1 through 2, 27 through 28, and 30 through 33. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys the big picture. The promised land awaits. And the Lord spoke to Moses saying, send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Israel. From each tribe of their fathers, you shall send a man, everyone a leader among them. That's 1 and 2. So they went, came back. Verse 27 says, then they told him and said, we went to the land where you sent us. It truly flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. Nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there, which means they saw giants, right? Drop down to 30. Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it. But the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they gave the children of Israel a bad report of the land which they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants. And all the people whom we saw in it are men of great stature. There we saw the giants, the descendants of Anak, came from the giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. Y'all, listen. Good morning, Nada. Let me tell y'all something. There's a promised land that God has for us, and we have to decide that we're going to go and we're going to possess it. Like literally, we have to go possess it. We can't just get caught up in what it looks like. So here it is. The land was flowing with milk and honey. Listen, it was full of everything they needed, but they got scared. They were like, oh, no, it's too great. There are giants. And those giants, we're going to be like grasshoppers to them. We were like grasshoppers to ourselves. So I know we're going to be like grasshoppers to them. So we can't go in there because there's no way that we're going to win. God says, the promised land awaits you. You say, oh, no, God, I can't go. My credit score isn't high enough. I don't have the money. I don't know how it's going to work. Oh, no, God, I can't go. Whose report will you believe? Are you going to believe the report of man, your report, or the report of God? Listen, at some point, you're going to have to choose to believe the report of God. When God tells you that there is a promised land waiting for you, what are you waiting on? Go possess the land. All they had to do was go spy out the land, come back, tell Moses what they saw. Yeah, the land is flowing with milk and honey. Yes, they're grapes the size of a man's head there. Yes, listen, it's there. Everything God said is true. No, they had to interject their own fear. See, fear is the thing that prevents us from moving forward. We're afraid. We're afraid of it not working. We're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of this. We're afraid of that. We're afraid. When are you going to stop being afraid and believe God? Whose report shall you believe? As for me, I choose to believe the report of the Lord. What does that look like? It looks like it doesn't matter what the potential obstacles are. I got to do what God said. Listen, and do it knowing that God is on my side. I'm not going out there by myself. It's not like they were going to be going out there on their own. God already had gone ahead of them. He's like, listen, go send the spies out. And then I want you to go possess the land. They came back and scared the people. The people were like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. That's what the people said. Why? They were afraid. At some point, though, you have to stop allowing your fear from dictating. You have to stop allowing your fear to dictate. I'm trying to figure out. You have to stop allowing fear to dictate whether or not you get to your destiny, whether or not you get to your promised land. The promised land is promised. And God, when he makes promises, he keeps them. So stop allowing things that are external, things that God is bigger than. Stop allowing them to prevent you from believing God enough to go forward. I'm going to read a little of the devotion just so that you guys can hear. Listen. For many of us, much like Moses, we have sent out spies to check out the land that God has promised us. We may have checked it out ourselves, but much like the spies sent out by Moses, we look at the land and we see the milk and honey. However, as good as the milk and honey look, and as big and juicy as the grapes are, we become overwhelmed by the presence of the giants in the land. we begin to focus on how small we appear in the face of the current occupants. In fact, their mere presence without them threatening us or even seeing us is enough to activate our fear instinct. The instinct kicks in spite of the beauty, majesty, and richness of the land, the fear begins to overwhelm us and cause us to run the other way. In psychology, we would say that the fight or flight impulse has been triggered. The problem is that we tend to learn to automatically go in one direction or the other. We have a default response when we encounter things that trigger fear. Some people automatically go into flight mode. They automatically run away. Some people automatically go into fight mode. They automatically fight. In Numbers 13, the spies that Moses sent out came back with a report. They all agreed that the land was flowing with milk and honey and fruit the size of a man's head. However, one set was overwhelmed with the size of the people in the land. They felt intimidated and small in a land of giants. For them, the bounty that was in the land was not worth the risk of facing those giants. Caleb, on the other hand, saw the bounty, the plenty, the abundance, and he knew that they could take the land. He believed what God said and was ready to fight. You see, some people default to flight. They have runner spirits. Others default to fight. They have fighting spirits. Which one are you? Well, it depends on what you've experienced in life that taught you which way to go, which way is safer. God has laid out our promised land, but there will be giants. There will be fights we must engage in to get to the promised land. If we're not able to face the giants, stand up to the giants, and fight the giants, then we will never be able to defeat the giants. I'm asking you to consider your automatic and learned response pattern. You can change it. You can make a change if you choose to do so. Caleb refused to accept the perspective and the fear of those who went with him. Instead, he chose to believe the report of the Lord. When God shows you your promised land, you have to decide if you believe God enough to fight for the place that he has called yours. If you won't fight for it, then you don't deserve it. You better know that God has a place just for you. And if you know that to be true, then you better get ready to fight like your life depends on it, because it does. We have to understand that even when we see obstacles to our promised land and our place of promise, it is our responsibility to trust God and believe what he said, not what we see. We must get to the point that the promise is bigger to us than the problems that we face. So today, understand that the place God is taking you may be occupied already with people who look like giants, but we serve a God who gives us giant slaying authority. It is up to you to take dominion over the territory that God has promised you and walk in the fullness thereof. So what? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Listen, the promised land is there and it's ours. And the $1 million question is, will you possess the land? Will you go in to the promised land that God has promised you, that he's prepared for you, and possess it, even though there are giants there, even though you may have to fight, even though it looks impossible? What are you going to do? You know, I'm facing what looks like some giants, but I know the promised land is right there. So what am I going to do? Face the giants. Because guess what? If God sends me to it, he absolutely is going to bring me through it. Now, that's not scripture per se, but it's facts. Y'all, if God promised you something, go get your promise. Go get it. Stop worrying about what it looks like. Trust God and take the step. So our affirmation for today is this: God has given me my promised land, and I am prepared to take dominion. God has given me my promised land, and I am prepared to take dominion. Let's go take dominion, because it's already been given to us. I pray this word blessed you. Let's go get it. Love you guys to life and life more abundant. Be blessed. Mwah.